What's up, everyone? Bro Trio here, and we got a new Metroid game out. So we looked through our memories of the past and decided we're going to do a re-rankings because I'm glad we did. When we started looking through, our things got shaken up quite a bit because some things didn't quite hold the memory that we had of them before.
Like I recently replayed through all the primes and stuff like that, and my opinions of them have radically changed.
I recently played through all the 2D ones in preparation of Metroid, and before we lumped the remakes in together, but no. They are so different.
They're separate.
They have to be their own separate thing. We knocked out Pinball, and we knocked out
Federation
Force. We're not ranking those. They're not part of it.
There's not enough game in Pinball to really include in this list, and none of us played Federation Force.
They'd be the two at the bottom anyways.
Yeah.
So moving on.
Now, what is at the bottom has changed.
Yes.
Because Metroid Prime Hunters, it's okay, but it's barely a Metroid game. Like, you fight the other hunters, you do, like, the same type of mission and fight a column or something, I don't remember, but...
Yeah, it's just a very shallow experience. Yeah. It's very... I mean, it's handheld, so it should be that, fits the system.
Yeah, but other than, like, the quick little cinematics of the hunters, like, doing their cool action or whatever, like, there's not much to that.
Yeah. Had cool I like the new hunters idea. That's really cool. I want to see more of them, but...
That's about all it's got, really, that makes it even stand out somewhat.
Yeah. So moving on to the number 11th entry that has risen up 1 point, mainly because of me, is Other M. I have actually beaten this game this time around, and a lot was in this game I didn't know was in it. So Other M,
like, there's positives to it.
There are, and we're only going to talk about them. We're going to get the negatives out of the way now. Bad voice acting, bad Samus, thumbs down, moving on. Ridley's a rabbit. But it also has a lot of, like, other callbacks to bosses that I thought was really interesting, because Nightmare's in this bitch. We got a Queen Metroid and Phantom? Like, what the hell? I did not know that was in it whatsoever.
A Queen Metroid's always a good addition to a game because it's such a monster.
And badass. And it's very fast, which is kind of to its detriment. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and then it doesn't really know whether it wants to be 2D or 3D. You gotta take the Wiimote. You're playing like this, and you're just like, it's missile time, and it's annoying. Go to the next one.
Coming up next, got the original Metroid for the NES.
It's aged.
It has aged like a grape in the sun. Like, it's like aged like milk left out in the sun in the middle of summer.
Like, I will say, people that, like, my age or older, if you grew up on the original Metroid, you probably still have nostalgia feelings for it. That's still going to be there.
It would take a lot of nostalgia to make that.
When you're comparing it to the other games, no.
It got immediately surpassed with its sequel. I mean, like, good lord. I'm not hating on it. It was revolutionary for the time, but it just, like, aged more poorly than most other NES games, which is why it is so low.
But what we will say about Metroid, the original, is it's the original. We wouldn't have this whole freaking ReRank without it.
It was very original for the time.
Oh yeah, they basically made a brand new, like, type of game.
It is the Metroid in Metroidvania. That all stems from the original formula.
The second game in the franchise did what a second game is supposed to do. It took the original formula and the original characters and just evolved them into something better. Metroid 2 is amazing that it even exists on the Game Boy. Like, yes, it doesn't have a map system.
Ugh.
Yes, it's ugly, and Samus is a giant.
It's hard to see, but it's a great Metroid. Like, it basically established what the Metroid formula was going to feel like in every game from then on.
And it is somehow the most important game to the lore going forward.
It's big time important.
I mean,
like,
it's where you see all of the Metroids in the Metroid franchise.
For being the black and white sheep of the family. Because of Game Boy.
Yeah.
But it brought so much to the table, story-wise and gameplay-wise, that it had to be at least one notch above the original. Nintendo did something a little different with this next one in a few ways. One, it released the same day as another Metroid game. Metroid Prime and Metroid Fusion released the same day, but this entry for Metroid Fusion is the one we were talking about right now. It was odd, and they were like, oh, well, if people don't like this first-person thing, at least they have this, I guess. I don't know what the mentality was there.
It's weird.
Honestly, that might have been why.
It's amazing that they sold...
There was a lot of hate for Metroid Prime.
Yeah, I was one of them, and I was an idiot.
There was a lot of people that were just like, that is not my Metroid.
Yeah, I was one of those haters at first.
I was too.
Then I played it, and I was an idiot, but I didn't play Fusion until this year, pretty much. Like, I played it for like a few hours and put it down, but I went through and beat it this year. Fusion is brilliant. It's linear, I get that. Everything is an X-Parasite, which is a little annoying, but Fusion did a lot of things right. The action was phenomenal. The SAX and the X-Parasites in general are horrifying. And it surprised me because I did not know. I knew everything about the plot, like, baseline. I did not know that the X-Parasites were smart. And that just horrified me when I found out that they are not just angry jelly. They are smart angry jelly.
Yeah.
Well, when Adam was like, dude, these things are smart. They're freezing themselves so they'll f with your Metroid DNA. I was like, oh, God. How? Shit. No, Fusion was... And it had more story than Metroid really ever has. It was awesome. Fusion was a fun ride. It had a really, really cool set of bosses. You have Nightmare. You have Arachnus again. You fight a giant robot spider. I know there's a spider. I don't remember if he's a robot or not. I know you fight the robot Digger Bot, whatever his name is.
Diggersby.
Yeah, Diggersby, the Pokemon. And then, of course, a showdown with the SAX. And the first form was awesome. Second form, he just jumps. Whatever. They even threw a wrinkle into the escape sequence, because everything about this game threw a wrinkle into the Metroid formula. But the wrench they threw into the escape sequence was, at the end of it, you have to fight an Omega Metroid.
On the timer!
You're still on the timer. You gotta fight this gigantic Metroid, and Samus is by far at her weakest. So he one-shots you, and then kills the SAX, and you eat it, and now you're Samus again, baby. And then you just kind of just him up. I mean, he can still kill you if you let him hit you enough, but you kind of have to let it happen if it's going to be that. Metroid Fusion, up until Other M, was probably the most contentious Metroid game, and I can see why, but we thought it was absolutely brilliant.
As I mentioned in the intro to this video, I recently went through and played through all of the Prime collection. And this is where my main difference is where all the Primes fall in their own like Prime trilogy ranking. So what I'm talking about now is the lowest of the three. It is Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. Now hold your pitchforks before you start yelling at me. Let me tell you this, I am not a fan of gimmick reliance. As you may have heard in our Metroid Prime 4 hype train, I wasn't a fan of using the nunchuck to whip every shield out of every space pirate's hand if I get in my ship, it's fast travel, but I have to like move the Wiimote up to actually push up my thruster on my ship. Like, there's too much motion controls in Prime 3.
Like
and they're all just bullshit motion controls. Like,
yeah, because that's what I was going to say. Like, if you actually had a spot where you had to pilot the ship, or like
that would be fine.
Had some ship combat, maybe you had to go like clear an asteroid field or even something stupid like that.
But most of it's
There'd
either
be a reason to like have steering in there.
Yeah, a lot of it's tacked on motion controls, and then a lot of it's just like, hey, shoot here, 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 and here, and that's pretty much it. But the main thing about Metroid Prime 3 is it is badass because it's the conclusion to the Prime series.
Oh, it's all
to date.
It's all out war in Prime 3.
It's a straight up like the other two in the Prime games are like an exploration type, actual like Metroid game. This one's still a Metroid game, but it's a fucking action movie Metroid game because like it's an all-out war.
Shooting down Ridley's throat while you're falling down an elevator shaft.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You're finding Dark Samus all over the place. She turns all your friends against you.
Yeah, she's recruiting.
Oh yeah, Dark Samus is smart as shit.
Like hunters, you have other hunters now, and some of them are like, "Hey, Samus, what up?" And some are like, "F you."
Yeah.
And it's like there's no in between with these people, but you have to end up killing all of them. It sucks.
Yeah,
especially
it really
the
does.
ice guy. He was cool.
He was cool, and you could tell Samus was upset about putting him down. Like him and I forget her name, the electric lady, the shapeshifts.
Yeah.
Samus seemed a little upset about that one too. But the whole time, she just does it because that's her job. She knows it needs to happen in order to stop this imposter that is parading around dressed as Samus, and she doesn't like it. So she's put an end to Dark Samus, she's put an end to the Phazon, and then after this, she goes and puts an end to the Metroids because she is sick of it. So after Prime 3, that's when Metroid 2 canonically happens, because Samus is just like,
that's true.
I'm done with this.
I never thought about it. She's just like, I'm going to kill everything now.
F Metroids. This one caused me a lot of trouble, so I'm doing away with all of them. And honestly, Corruption did a lot great, because the gameplay, although there was a lot of gimmick reliance, there was a lot of cool stuff in it too. Like Hyper Mode was really cool, really interesting to sacrifice health in order to get like whack ass power that you could just obliterate bosses with and stuff. Prime 3 has a lot more positives than negatives, but this playthrough I just noticed the negatives like a lot more than recently, because last time we ranked them I was basing everything on nostalgia, so I think this is a lot more of like a accurate rankings, putting Prime 3 at number 7.
We are finally hitting a remake of a game that desperately needed it, which is Metroid Zero Mission. I played through this for the first time this year. I'd never touched it before in my life, but holy crap. Up until Dread, this was my favorite way Samus controlled in a Metroid game. It's like, it's not my favorite. It wasn't my favorite Metroid game, but just the way Samus felt and moved and felt weighty and fast was so good. I absolutely had a ball with Metroid Fusion, start to finish. And then when you finish, you ain't done yet.
Yeah,
they added
Zero
more.
Mission.
This is how you, like, the Metroid people know how to do remakes. They take the concepts that were in the original, pump them up, make them better. Kraid's big now. He's not a little weird mullet hedgehog. Yeah, like he was in Metroid 1. No, he's a massive Kraid we're used to.
Yeah, it's a proper Kraid fight.
Proper Ridley fight.
He's
not a lump anymore.
They took what Metroid has done in the future and brought it back to the past in the best way possible, and then added a stealth section at the end for good measure. Metroid Zero Mission was some of the most fun I've had with Metroid, and me going through all of them this year. I had an absolute blast, and I kind of wish it hadn't ended so quickly.
Yep, I'm back talking about the Prime games again. I'm going to be talking about all of them, so settle in for that. But this time, I'm talking about Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, because this is the one that jumped up the most in my eyes in this recent playthrough. Because Metroid Prime 2 is absolutely fantastic. I loved it from start to finish. The only thing I didn't really like was the naming of bosses, because it's just Boost Guardian, Zip Guardian, Zap Guardian, whatever Guardian. It's all there.
I will say, because of that, though, when you showed me, because I never played the games, I've played like half of Metroid Prime 1, but the fact that when you cross over into the Dark World, they gang up on you and steal your powers, it makes more sense.
It's the best depowering of Samus that's ever happened. They just gang up on you, they're like, these are mine now, and then they use them. So like the Boost Guardian's actually just this fast-ass Guardian running around and everything. It's the Ing just using your powers to f*** you up. And it's cool because you can't really explore the Dark World because it burns you. And then you get this Lunamoth suit that looks really cool and it burns you a lot less. And then you get the light suit and you look really, really cool. And you can travel through light and fast travel and it doesn't burn you at all. It's awesome. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes probably has like the best power-up progression of any Metroid game to me. It flows so well. It never stops. Like, it never feels stale. Like, everything you're doing feels like you're going towards something, and like the power-ups come at the exact right time. It's paced so perfectly. I actually loved the ammo system because canonically it makes sense why you have ammo, and it incentivizes you to use different weapons all the time. Back when you could still switch between gun types is awesome. You switch to the dark beam, you can muck up the creatures with the dark energy similar to ice beam. Switch to the light beam, you turn them on fire like plasma beam, and then there's the sound beam, which is both, and it's just weird and cool. And that's what I just love Prime 2 a lot because of that. It had some really good bosses too, and introduced us to Dark Samus for the first actual time, and you fight her like 3 times. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It has a lot of cool lore because you see one that always has stuck with me is you read in a space pirate log and they're just like, oh, holy God, there are 2 hunters now. Don't engage the dark one. It's super violent. Try not to engage the other one either, but stay away from this dark one.
I mean, it has the coolest way Samus like leaves the mission too. She just like walks off and she's just like just throws up a little like nonchalant way, like it's just what I do. Don't worry about it.
She's badass, and like Echoes, it was really good. If you have any like fleeting thoughts or like negative connotations towards it, I highly recommend replaying it. You'll have to bust out a Wii U for some dumbass reason, but on the Prime trilogy, like, it is great. The motion controls work very well for like the remasters of, well, remakes of 1 and 2 for the Prime games, and I would highly recommend going back and playing it and getting a fresh take on it, because that's what I did, and this game has jumped up in my mind immensely.
Scotty mentioned it during the Zero Mission section of this. The Metroid team really knows how to do a remake and how to do it well. And the Metroid 2 remake, Samus Returns, is phenomenal. It is one of the best games on the 3DS. It's one of the best looking games on the 3DS because that background pops so hard. It's really one of the best 3D effects that they have. And they do everything better than they did the first time around. Because the Metroid fights are fun and innovative. There's a little bit of tweaking to it where there are different areas or they're starting to get different behaviors. There's a few times where like it's almost the next stage of evolution, so like the alpha is starting to have a little bit of the gamma personality to it. And they just keep getting bigger and badder and bigger and badder. And you also keep just becoming more and more of a badass as the game goes.
And those Aeon abilities, man. Those Aeon abilities were awesome. Especially the machine gun one. That was my favorite.
Yeah,
that
machine gun
one was so fun.
There were so many that had specific areas of the map designed just for that. Like there were a lot of cool puzzles.
Scan Pulse was
so
my god.
So helpful.
I was mad that you didn't get it sooner in Dread, but you at least got it.
Yeah,
that Scan Pulse made it so much. Like if you were just stuck, just Scan Pulse. There it is. There's the block.
I'm honestly going to be mad if they ever take the Scan Pulse away. Because it's completely optional, but it really helps when you're stuck. And it saves you the ammo of going through all your missiles, blasting every single pixel of the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing, is they added so much more convenience to Metroid 2.
Yeah, you got fast travel, you got markers.
It's fun to travel through, and it's fun to experience.
And they ended it with a badass Ridley fight. Like, the best fight Ridley's ever had.
They added so many good boss fights to that, because the Digger bot, Ridley, they had a blast making it, and I had a blast playing it.
Well, we're finally here to the final Prime, and it's the best Prime, because, I mean, Metroid Prime, the first one, it's...
Prime example.
It was just so good, and it has stayed so good. It has not... Nothing has changed, in my opinions, about the Prime 1 for, like, the replay of it. Like, Prime 2 and 3 swapped, that's it. But Prime 1 is still, like, oh my god, it's still so high up in my regard of, like, a good game and, like, the benchmark of what a Metroid game should be.
Talk about immersion. You got the most immersion thing there. You got raindrops and fog getting up your glasses, cool music to help with the immersion.
Oh my god.
When you blast a bunch of bugs and you get guts all over your visor.
The first Prime is just one of those games that you don't mind backtracking in, because it consistently stays fun the whole time. And I'm not saying like Prime 2 and 3 are like that much below it, because honestly, in my mind, you know, if we're grading it, Prime 1 is like a 99, Prime 2 is like a 98, and then Prime 3 is like a 97. They're very close, but it's hard to like differentiate them as far as like picking your favorite. But Prime 1, it mainly stands out because it's got the jiggity jammiest soundtrack of any Metroid game, because you got Fendera Drifts, that's just a solid jammer.
Space funk.
It's got that space funk. Yeah. You got the cool, like, underwater music that you just can relax to. And then you got the badass, weirdly chosen menu music that you just... I don't know why they made the menu music like one of the most badass songs of the whole game, but it is, and I loved it. Like, you get it again in the end credits, and then you have a lot of cool boss fight and a lot of good boss music too. Like, fighting the Metroid Prime has some great music in both forms, and the boss fights in that whole game are great, start to finish. And it makes you really feel like you have earned every power-up and upgrade you got.
If a year ago someone had told me not only would Metroid Prime be surpassed as my personal favorite Metroid, but a 2D Metroid would do it, and I have nothing against 2D Metroids, but it's just like less of a style of game I enjoy, I would have told you were crazy. But Metroid Dread has taken the top spot from Metroid Prime. It put Super Metroid to third place. I love Metroid Dread. That's my favorite Metroid far and away right now. Like, it went, if they ever put the Prime trilogy on Switch and I play through them, that might change back to Prime. Probably not, though, because Metroid Dread is so fun. It's so cool, and the story is really good. It's barely there because it's a Metroid, but what is there is nothing but holy shit moments.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, it has... The only real negatives I can think of, like I said in our powwow about it, is the music's a little underwhelming, and some of the I wish there were more power-ups unique to Metroid Dread, because a lot of them were just rehashes, and that's Metroid's thing, I get it, but I want new power-ups. But Metroid Dread, like, it's we said this in the powwow too. I rarely go through 100% any game, but especially Metroid games, because it's like I am not trudging all the way back there
For 5 missiles? Are you insane?
But friggin' Dread nailed it, and it had fast travel points, but they still weren't even as good as Samus Return's fast travel points, because it was only like red to red, blue to blue. I was like, why did you do that? But anyway, I went and got everything in Metroid Dread because I did not want that ride to end. I completely obliterated Metroid Dread. It's in my opinion the best game in one of the best franchises that Nintendo's produced, and I cannot wait for Metroid 6 to see where they take it from here, because holy shit,
If there is one.
there gotta be.
I hope so. And now we're here at number 1. And big surprise, it's the Super Nintendo one. Because
Like the only one that didn't change.
it's my personal favorite. I think it's Daniel's personal favorite.
It is.
Super Metroid is almost the perfect game. Like, there are some really nitpicky things you can, like, discount it on, but the flow, the plot, the gameplay, everything is just so smooth and exactly what it needs to be. You can sequence break, but you don't have to.
Exactly.
Like, there's...
You fight a
everything's
ghost.
Yeah, like everything is designed so well. Even the ghosts that should not even fit into the game.
Yeah,
It's a fun fight, and you're just like,
Sci-fi
okay, well
ghost.
now I turned on the power to this ship. Let me go save some animals or whatever I want to do.
Yeah, and that finale, like, God, that finale
that-
still hits just as hard.
Well,
Even
yeah, like
harder because I'm an adult now, I guess. But it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah, I cry harder now.
Because like
I didn't remember.
you have the
Metroid
touching
dead.
moment with the Metroid. You have the little like twinge of like vengeance. Like, oh my God, you just what just happened? Okay, now I'm pissed and I'm strong. You're gonna die.
All right.
The fact that Super Metroid can make you feel in a Super Nintendo game with no dialogue, feel bad and attached to the main antagonist creature of the franchise.
I mean, did you hear his little clicks
Like,
when he realized he was
that
sucking
is-
mommy's energy out? He had sad
Yeah.
clicks.
That is,
Terrible.
Like he got
a feat.
sad.
And I
And
mean, from
there-
the title screen, just from the title screen up till the end of the game was a wild, great ride. Oh my God, Super Metroid's so good.
Yeah, and that final boss, like, there's a lot of games where they make you feel basically invincible at the end of it, but it is deserved in that fight.
Oh, man,
like
it's-
it does not, it never lets up to just blast Mother Brain until it turns into dust.
Honestly, I'm shocked Nintendo hasn't done a Nintendo Switch Online special one where you just start at the end and just blast Mother Brain in the face, because it's that satisfying. Like, that would be... Oh man, that would be so cool. I loved blasting Mother Brain constantly. It was the coolest thing ever, and it's because it's in the best Metroid game ever. Sorry, Scotty, but it's true. Super
place.
Metroid
Third
Bronze
place.
medal.
in the Bro Trio
Damn,
rankings
got that bronze.
It's a damn shame.
is number 1 for good damn reason, because Super Metroid is just one of the best games of all time. It's hard to top. It's hard to stop playing it. It's so good. So we just really wanted to talk about Super Metroid again. That's the reason we did this re-rank.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously.
But actually, it's because Dread came out and our opinions have changed on the rest of the franchise, and we replaying them.
Not drastically, but they did change.
Yeah, we felt like we should separate the originals and the remakes, and we feel very proud of this list. So let us know what your Metroid rankings are in the comments. Would you include pinball in this?
And how stupid are we for leaving out Federation Force?
I know, that's the best one, apparently. But be sure to like and subscribe and everything. And be sure to stay tuned to Bro Trio for more Metroid content at some point in the future. Might be soon, might be later, who knows. We love Metroid. We thought it had a dynamite 35th anniversary, and Dread was one of the best ways to celebrate it.